How's it going, guys? Welcome. It is a Tuesday today, and I hope you guys are having a good time tonight. Everybody doing well, you know? Hopefully I'm not too loud. If I'm too loud, please let me know. And hopefully we can fix that. And yeah. See lots of people in chat already. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I wanted to talk to you guys about all of the things that Sanders/Greg said in his live stream today, and maybe confirm some things, but also talk about some things that are just, you know, stuff that I have personally seen versus what Sanders has seen. So I thought, you know, originally I was like, oh yeah, this would be awesome if like both I could do like a little bit of a comparison a little bit with Sanders, what he has seen versus what I have seen personally, and then how can that translate from what both of us have seen to what splash damage is going to throw in their game. And I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea. Can I throw that into a video? I do 2 takes and I'm like, this video is way too long. So there's so many points to go over, and I gotta give it to Sanders for coming out of the absolute woodworks and just spouting out information that he has found through different sources that he's talked to, and versus things that I've talked to over the last couple years. And I think it's pretty awesome being able to have someone else that has insider information and is sharing more information about Transformers Reactivate. And even if it is old, I think a lot of these things are actually going to really just carry over to Splash Damage's version of the game and just be amplified. And I think that's where we're going with this. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So I've made lots of notes here today. First, I just wanted to highlight for all of you guys here. There's so many of you guys here already. There's like 43 plus. Soundwave, good to have you here. Ultimex. Beboop, Eclipse, Will Hayes, Decepticon Justice, Squid Lover, who else here? Mr. Porpoise, who else do we have? Wavelength, how's it going? Anybody else that I see? There's a lot of you guys here. Monsoon, how's it going? Ryan Q. So many great people. It's so great to have you guys here. How's it going, Stavian? New Looks Nix, hey. So guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's awesome. Spider-Man, Optimus, Odin, nice. Good to have you guys here. Yeah, it's great, and I think today is a good day. I think today is just a good day to just chat, hang out with everybody, have a good time. You know, just chilling. Wait, how did you get the beta? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how did I get the beta? I don't know what you're talking about. So let's go over the notes here. So I made lots of notes, very jotted notes, just quick release notes kind of thing. And I would have done this in a video, but this has actually already been pushed into by Bumblebee, one of my friends among the TF community. We've known each other for a while. He posted it also in the Re-Energized Discord. So if you guys want to go over those notes, you can maybe follow along too. So check that out. But basically, what Sanders played was a very early build of Transformers Impact. And I would have to assume, now this is an assumption, I don't know for sure because he didn't even state it himself. But he says it's a very early version of Transformers Impact. And when we knew the name Transformers Impact, he said Transformers Impact was like 2017, 2018 era. And when we started to know about Transformers Rise, it was like 2019 when we heard the date change, I believe, and 2020. So around that time, I think that's when we started to hear about Rise, the name Rise. And that's when we really started to know about, oh, they changed the name and that sort of thing. There was so many name changes. Like it went from Transformers Online to Transformers Impact to Transformers Rise and now Transformers Reactivate. Like there's so many name changes, it's absolutely ridiculous. and I think it's pretty crazy in itself. Just thought I'd point that out there, and it's really great that you guys are joining me here and just being able to listen and just hang out, that sort of thing. One thing I would like to point out is great. Like, these are a bunch of notes that I made from Greg's live stream, and he says that there's several zones. The other thing that he notes is in the version that he played, there was so many crashes, and a lot had to do with playing specific characters, and a lot of it also had to do with just in general the game itself. Plus, he was very limited for time, so I find that very interesting. I mean, he has his connections, kind of thing, and that's awesome. And the only thing that I can't really fully 100% depict is if he played a version that was newer than what I have seen, or if he played a version that was older. Now, he says Transformers Impact, so if I associate it with Transformers Impact, I think 2018. And there are some screenshots and things that I have seen that are 2018 build, and some characters that are playable that are not playable now, or at least I haven't attempted to try and see if they're playable. So there's or have seen those characters playable, at least. So that's what I'm trying to make a point of, is that there's very interesting things there that are playable versus not playable. And one of the big things that surprised me was the zones. And he says he was able to play in Antarctica, the Sahara Desert, the jungle regions. So I think maybe like Australia maybe is a possibility. Chicago, some kind of ruined city that was also connected to a forest area. Some other notes that he's made in the past is that you could go to Asia, or places like Tokyo, or various places over there in the East Asian area, maybe. So those are some of the zones that I find interesting. Places like Paris or the UK, things like that. And those zones I have not seen personally. So it makes me wonder if, like, those kind of zones, were they only implemented in the 2018 version, or were they scrapped completely? And it makes me wonder sometimes, but it also makes me think, oh, maybe Splash Damage took those concepts from in the past, and then they threw them into Splash Damage's version of the game. Who knows, right? What worked versus what didn't. And in what I have seen, for the most part, has worked, versus what Sanders has seen was very broken, and a lot of things that broke over, like it crashed the game, that sort of thing. That's what I find very interesting too. So I do wonder what was actually allowed to be done versus what can't, and what was implemented, what's going to be implemented in Splash Damage's version of the game. So that I find that very interesting. Characters that he confirmed were B, Ironhide, Knockout, Shockwave, Soundwave, Slipstream, Windblade. I believe he said Optimus Prime, Megatron. Who else? Who else am I forgetting, guys? Soundwave. I think I said that already. Who else? I think there was a number of different characters that were confirmed to be playable. And I find that very interesting. And there's going to be so many more characters, like Hot Rod, for example, Sunstreaker, that are going to be playable. I can confirm behind the scenes that Sunstreaker was in development before the handoff, and Sunstreaker will be a playable character. So it's very similar to what you guys saw in those old 2018 screenshots, and those what do you call it? Those screenshots of those characters were very reminiscent, or very close to what they actually look like in game, to a degree. Like, some things changed, of course. The various things changed from artwork to actually implemented into in-game. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, no, that's really awesome. And then there's robot NPCs, or portraits over the comms while you play in missions. So if you played the character, so for example, Bumblebee, this character would start to talk over the comms and stuff like that for narrative design and that sort of thing, which I find interesting. And I don't know if Sanders can even further talk about this specifically, but it's interesting to me that the characters, like for the narrative side of things, if you go into a story mission, and then you play as, say, Bumblebee one time, and then you replay that mission as Starscream, for example, if that narrative design or talk becomes implemented for that specific character, if that's going to be how it works, or if it's just simply bickering between characters. Like, say you have a squad of 4 people, you go in together, and then they start bickering at each other. Like, for example, Bumblebee bickering at Starscream for like being so snarky and sinister and that sort of thing, right? I could see that happening because other characters interacting with other characters. But from a developer's point of view, I wonder how hard it really is to make so many different trees of connections of, oh, this character connected to that character because that character is here, that character is here, that character is here. To me personally, that doesn't make sense from a developer's standpoint. Why would they do that? It would be so much development time just trying to connect all those characters together, instead of a fixed narrative, if that makes sense. So I do question that sort of thing for what Sanders has played versus what I have seen. So it's interesting. I'm just curious on those side of things if that has changed, and especially in Splash Damage's version of the game as well. Let's talk further. Soundwave was a contact NPC in Chicago, and that was a very interesting note. Now, personally, what you are seeing on screen is actually a location in Chicago. What you do not see is a Chicago hot dog sign off to the side of the face rock that is stuck in the face rock. But it actually is there. But this is a location in Chicago where it's more overgrown and where there's a lot more rusting going on, more overgrown, maybe some massive mushroom stacks, I guess you could say, in various different areas, and various overgrown trees and that sort of thing, and corrupt buildings all over the place. So that's just to note. But Soundwave, from what Greg said, is actually in Transformers Reactivate for being one of those narrative NPC characters. So it'd be interesting to hear Soundwave over the comms at some point. Soundwave was playable. Now, Soundwave is playable to a degree in what I have seen, but I guess I'll leave it at that because I don't want to talk too much about that. NPC portraits, not playable. Now, these are kind of like the comms that I was talking about before. Optimus Prime was a comm. Beachcomber was a comm. Ultra Magnus, so that's a big one, is Ultra Magnus is now confirmed in Transformers Impact / Rise / Transformers Reactivate. So just keep that in mind, that these are subject to change, but Ultra Magnus did have a portrait for being, and artwork for being implemented in Transformers Reactivate, or potentially he will be in Transformers Reactivate. Megatron was a portrait as well, and he confirmed, Greg also confirmed, Spike Witwicky, or at least there was artwork for him. No, you do not play as human characters, guys, which is crazy. So I'm surprised a lot of people think from the announcement trailer that you play as human characters, which is crazy to think about. But Ultra Magnus is confirmed. Spike Witwicky from the G1 in comics has been confirmed. So keep that in mind. They're going that nostalgia route, and those characters were confirmed for Certain Affinity's version of the game, and most likely will be in Transformers Reactivate. That's probably why we saw a toy of Optimus Prime in the announcement trailer. That was a silent hint towards there's some kind of kid inside the hangar, which is Spike Witwicky. Who else could it be? Right? Like, who else's kid would be there? I mean, I do also wonder where this time jump comes into play, because I do feel like there's some sort of time jump, because Marissa Fairborn is missing. Where did she go? Right? She's on the announcement trailer for the for that little glitched screen for Bumblebee scanning Marissa Fairborn. Where did she go? That's the big question on everyone's heads. And then you have Andrea, or Allison, or however you want to call her, Allison Fairborn. So it's a big question on everyone's mind, is where is Marissa Fairborn? How old is Spike Witwicky? Has he grown up? Is he a man now? Or is he an old man now, for all we know, right? Where's the big time jump? Or is this an alternate universe of the G1 / G2 continuity? So I do wonder that, and I'm very curious where this storyline all plays out. So that's just a theory on the top of my head right now, actually, regarding that. So I'm not sure if Sanders said this was part of raids or not, but these are characters that might be confirmed due to there being artwork of these characters. There's Blitzwing, Devastator, Trypticon, Metroplex, and he also saw Quintessence artwork. So that is what, or at least those characters are somewhat confirmed to a degree within the Transformers Impact version of the game. So I don't know about Bruticus personally. I know I've had questions about that in the past. So I'm not really sure whether or not Blitzwing, Devastator, Trypticon, Metroplex, or even Bruticus, for all we know, are to be in Splash Damage's version of the game or not. But that is what Greg/Sanders has talked about, and I find that very interesting personally. That those characters are potentially going to be in Transformers Reactivate. I think that's really cool, and I think that's a big thing to even take into account is some of these Cybertronian characters, these Titans, are going to eventually show up at some point in time, and I think that would be pretty awesome to see, like you guys are saying, Titans in Transformers Reactivate, potentially, right? We don't know. And of course, he says he's seen Quintessence artwork, which means that there's a possibility that the Quintessence may still be the main villains behind the Legion, or there might even be a villain even behind the Quintessence, for all we know, right? So we don't know how much narratively Splash Damage has changed, but down the road, I'm sure we will hear a lot more. Now, another thing that he talks about is John Bailey and Peter Cullen voicing Optimus Prime. Now, right off the bat, people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's John Bailey. I don't like John Bailey's voice acting for Optimus Prime. He's too much of a mimic of Peter Cullen, that sort of thing." A lot of people say that. Personally, for me, I actually don't mind John Bailey's voice. The only thing that I think to take into account is I think John Bailey needs to take on his own version of Optimus Prime. And I think he does a decent job as Optimus Prime, potentially. But also, this is what Greg said, is that he heard both John Bailey and Peter Cullen doing voice lines for Optimus Prime. Now, if Peter Cullen is there, that makes me think that's got to confirm that Peter Cullen is voicing Optimus Prime. But here's the other thing. Just a few nights ago, some of the people that that I've been talking to about Transformers Reactivate found a video from John Bailey himself, where he had in his thumbnail, in the background, it showed Soundwave, the very same Transformers Reactivate Soundwave artwork / render that I showed you guys on a video, and it showed Soundwave hidden amongst all these other characters in the thumbnail. And I'm shocked that it was there, but John Bailey is voicing potentially Soundwave, and after listening to Soundwave multiple times, it's got to be John Bailey. So we think that he's not voicing Optimus Prime, but he is voicing Soundwave, and he's doing a really good job of it, actually. And I think he is actually a pretty good Soundwave. Actually, he sounds awesome, and from the sound voice lines that I've shown you guys, I think he's pretty good, and I'm sure as the voice meters come into play, as they introduce more voice lines, and even as they go further with John Bailey as Soundwave, I think that's awesome. And I think that's awesome that he's part of a Transformers project. I don't think John Bailey deserves the backlash that he does for even voicing Optimus Prime, but I think he does deserve a role regardless, because he's played in so many roles, even as a stand-in for a Transformers product, right? He's stepped in for some of these roles for big name movies, but I think video games are that much higher than movies or other TF media, just because these characters are iconic. You have sky's the limit type of thing with Transformers video games. You cannot go anywhere else. Like you can do so many different things with storylines. Look at Transformers War of Cybertron. Look at Transformers Fall of Cybertron. Look at PS2 Armada. Look at so many of other Transformers media like Devastation and other games that have great narrative storylines. And you can do so much with those things because they are video games. That's what I think is pretty awesome. As a Transformers fan, I love it because you can do anything with a video game. Whereas with live action and with specific media like animation and stuff like that, you are limited with what you can do because of specific budgets and that sort of thing. Whereas with video games, you can keep going further and further and further just because investments and that sort of thing. I think that's awesome. Some of you guys are saying Soundwave Superior, Autobots Superior. Frank Welker, I believe, is confirmed to be Megatron in this game. Actually, I'm not sure. I'm to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if Frank Welker is confirmed. Sorry if I'm not answering some of your guys' questions. I'm just going through these notes, and then I'm going to come back to you guys with going through some of your questions and that sort of thing through these notes, and then we'll discuss all of it, that sort of thing, and we can go from there. But I think that's pretty awesome. I'm not 100% sure who is actually voicing Megatron, but a lot of people do speculate that Frank is back as Megatron. So there's no G.I. Joe characters, as Sanders says. There's no crossovers, and I really don't think G.I. Joe should be part of the video game series or even crossed over at all. That's my personal opinion. Let's keep it Transformers, guys. I don't even think Splash Damage should even touch that. And if Hasbro says, throw in some G.I. Joe characters, I think it would be awesome. I think a lot of Transformers fans would be against that, to be perfectly honest. So please, no crossovers. And we haven't seen any, and personally I haven't either, so that's great. You don't play as humans characters. I made that note, but I had to reiterate it again. Will Friedel as Bumblebee. I think that's fine. I think we've confirmed that even with the version that I have seen. Frank Welker was not Soundwave, of course. So like I said, John Bailey is taking on Soundwave. And also, one other thing about John Bailey is if you guys didn't see it on both my videos and also on the Fire Brothers videos, John Bailey came out and started hyping up Transformers fans. Now, I might even throw this in a video later, but if you guys check out my previous video, John Bailey was like, he was kind of like doing laughing emojis because like we're doing all this Transformers media stuff and we're like doing these update videos and all this stuff, and like we're giving you guys all this information about past content, but it's not official to a degree, right? And he's like, my goodness, you guys are such super fans kind of thing, and believe it kind of thing, because Transformers, the Transformers content, the game's coming soon, that sort of thing. And we don't know if NDA is lifting or not, but John Bailey, or even we don't even know if John Bailey's NDA is lifted, or if John Bailey is even officially in Transformers Reactivate, or even further on the project, or even still part of it. But he started going around and he's in the comments section, and whether or not those comments are deleted or not, or whether it was temporary, we took screenshots of John Bailey commenting on our videos, and it's pretty awesome regardless, just seeing him hype up the game, and the fact that it's coming, guys. The game is coming, and if you guys still think it's canceled, don't, because there's so much stuff going on behind the scenes that we just don't know about it. Going forward is, of course, there are character bios, and yes, I can confirm there's character bios for each character. So you click on your character when you're selecting them, and there's bios for each one. For example, Bumblebee, B127, and a full-on description of Bumblebee, that sort of thing. So maybe I'll throw that in later, but yeah, there's things like that for each individual character has their own bio. And it talks about each character, what abilities they use in that bio, and that sort of thing, and how awesome they are. Could John Bailey be in the live stream now? I mean, who knows? If John Bailey is in the live stream, welcome. And if any other Splash Damage devs or anyone else is in the live stream, thank you all for being here. It's awesome, and we cannot wait to see your fruits of labor. That's one thing that even I wanted to comment about if I made a video out of this, is that we are all so excited. We're all super fans of Transformers and so excited for Transformers Reactivate, and are super excited to see the fruits of labor from all of these voice actors, from all of the developers behind Splash Damage, and exciting for this game. It's so exciting, and we can't wait. Let me just scroll up here for my notes here, guys. Sanders also confirms hearing Ironhide as Warpath's voice actor from Transformers War for Cybertron. I can personally confirm, yes. The voice actor for Warpath sounds almost exactly the way he does from Transformers War for Cybertron to Ironhide in Transformers Reactivate. Yes, I can confirm that. I read a leaked internal meeting note from like 2019 that Frank was Megatron. I don't know how true that is anymore, but I did see so at one point. Decepticon Justice Division says that. Oh, that's very interesting. I don't... maybe that was an old document. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really... it's been a while since I've read those old documents, but if Frank was mentioned as Megatron in the past, then maybe Frank is really Megatron or confirmed to be Megatron. Can we go to Cybertron now? According to Sanders, there was artwork or there was some sort of mention planned that we will eventually go to Cybertron at some point in time. Now, whether or not that has changed in Splash Damage's version, who knows? But I think it would be an awesome blast from the past, and to see the capabilities of what Splash Damage can do regarding designing even Cybertron itself, going back to Icon City, going to Kaon, and various other places throughout Cybertron. I think that would be just awesome, seeing the ruins of Cybertron and just seeing what it's like. That would be cool. And even doing flashbacks, right? I think those kind of things would be really, really cool to see. Okay, now, Sanders mentioned something that I personally have not seen, or at least discovered yet. So there is this testing room. So I assume this is like a developer test room when they're testing out the game and that sort of thing. So what Sanders says is that there's this there are these huge Legion bosses in the middle of the room that you can fight as versions of boss battles. You could also fight against Megatron in a very broken boss battle, he mentions, which I'm like, whoa, okay, hold up. That's interesting. Okay, so for me personally, I have not seen that Megatron boss battle, and whether or not that is something that I will be able to see down the road, who knows? But Sanders claims to have seen a very early version of a boss battle where you will fight against Megatron, and that is very interesting to me. Now, another point, if I recall, he mentions that during the version that he played, there's not situations where you will go up against other Transformers characters. For example, like you fighting Ratchet or you fighting a zombie version of Ironhide or something like that. Now, I do feel like those core concepts would be perfect for Splash Damage's version of the game, especially for world building and character building. I think that would be awesome. And if I recall, I think Sanders even mentioned that it was planned at some point that you would do something like that, like you would fight a zombie version of those characters because the Legion cloned a version of that character, and then they would fight, and then you would fight alongside your characters against a boss version of those characters. I think that was maybe a concept design. I don't know if that would be implemented in Splash's version, but if they did just decide to do that, I think it would be really cool, or at least maybe just specifically the leaders. I think that would be a really cool idea to come across, is you would fight, for example, like right now we know that Optimus Prime, he's MIA, especially from those leaked cutscenes that we saw a long time ago, is Optimus Prime, he's MIA, and then all of a sudden his comms just break away and you can't find him, kind of thing. Eventually, when we do find Optimus Prime, I feel like it would be a really cool idea if we actually fight the leaders of the Autobots or the Decepticons, or we fight Grimlock from different factions, right? You know what I'm saying? And we fight leader type people in the game, and then yeah, so like Suicide Squad, yeah, maybe. I mean, not exactly 100%, but maybe not the same concept, the way the story or even how Suicide Squad played out, because of course we're not exactly the villains per se. I mean, you may be able to choose a villain character like from the Decepticons or something like that, but what I'm trying to get at is I think it'd be interesting to be able to fight an alternate version of these leader characters at some point in time. And hopefully I'm saying these things right, because I feel like I've heard this from Sanders in the past from a previous video. Maybe I haven't made a notation of it per se, but I think this is something that Sanders did talk about in the past. If not, you guys can correct me. But I think this is something that was talked about in the past, where you would fight a zombie-like version of the character. Now, this would also go way, way, way back to skins of from what somebody told me a long time ago, one of my old sources, and they said that there were zombie version skins of characters. So maybe that's what was playing in the background, or maybe that's what was part of the 2018 version. Who knows? But those were starting to be implemented. So I find that very interesting. Now, one thing I want to note is there is a skin in a version that I have seen of the game where it almost looks like Beast Wars like design, if that makes sense. So, for example, this is kind of an exclusive, but Starscream, for example, there's a skin that I have seen where he almost looks like he's almost like King Starscream, if that makes sense. So there is a version of Starscream where he almost looks like he has a crown on his head, and he's like wearing all these robes. He's got all of this almost medieval like armor with like ribbed shoulder arm guards and on both sides, and it almost looks like he's some sort of emperor. And there's two different versions of it, almost like a early version and then a like a very mixed version of like normal Starscream slash Emperor Starscream, and then there's an actual full-on Emperor Starscream design. And I've seen other skins too, but yeah, those are some of the things that I feel would be really cool in Transformers Reactivate. And maybe it's for a narrative design too, right? Maybe there's something down the line where Starscream is some kind of king, or maybe he's king of the jungle, or he's king of the of an area where we actually do find the Dinobots and that sort of thing. And I think that would be really cool. Anyway, going back to the boss test room, is Frank Welker was not voicing this version of Megatron, and it didn't sound like him, according to Greg. Now, note, this is a very early build, so maybe there was a stand-in, but we don't know. But the other thing to take away is that he said the voice of this Megatron sounded pretty awesome. And who knows, maybe Transformers War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron's Megatron was voicing this version of Megatron. If it was, I would be happy with that version of Megatron, because that Megatron sounded awesome. And I don't know if that was Frank Welker. I can't remember for the life of me, but I don't think that was Frank. And whoever was in the voice acting for the Cybertron games, that Megatron was absolutely flawless. But if Frank is voicing Megatron like he would the G1/G2 continuity, I think that would make more sense, especially Peter Cullen being Optimus Prime, because he's coming back to play a role that he played years ago. I think that would make most sense to me. So that's just something I wanted to throw in the air. It's like, take all of this stuff as rumors. So just think about that for a bit. Don't take it as like cold hard facts, because all of this is like outdated info, and this kind of information may not be 100% in Splash's game. For what Greg played, there was barely any narrative in terms of story, according to him. Some of the game modes, he answered a question from me, and he said that you would be saving humans. There's escort missions, drop in as your character. There's a Legion Hive or Outbreak. And then there's a defense against waves of enemies with a behemoth-like boss battle at the end. I have seen some stuff like that that's kind of similar. There's also this one game mode. So like there's it's called a simulate. And basically you have to go around with your team and fight off different territories against the Legion. And I find it very interesting, and it's kind of like a test bed area, and then there's kind of like a capture area. There's various different game modes that I could probably talk to you guys about, but there's different game modes that I have seen that could be in Splash Damage's version of the game. There's different game modes that are very interesting to me, and there's, for the territories one, it's how to describe it. It's like, it's got like Ballinger, not Ballingers, I forget. It starts with a B or something like that. It's like some kind of territory name, and it's got like a big bar, and when you play the game, it doesn't show up there, but it has the naming convention of like, oh, you're in this territory, you're in that territory, and you have to fight off waves of Legion. And there's even these tendril-like towers that come up out of the ground, and they zap you if you get close. Like, it's very interesting. So things like that, right? It's absolutely crazy to think about these different game modes that could be possible. And maybe they're even end game stuff for all we know. And they were just in test beds until they actually became final. So I think that would be really cool, just seeing different game modes. So he goes on to say, like, you rescue humans, save them from the Legion, escort them out. Difficulty would change over time, different bonuses. Nothing groundbreaking narratively, he said, but he really enjoyed the New York missions. It slowly built you up closer and closer to the Aegis Shard. Now, in the past, in 2017 documents, we knew it as the Aegis Shard, but it has since changed. Even what I have seen, it has been confirmed to be called the Harvester. It's no longer called the Aegis Shard. So whoever tells you that, don't listen to them. It's not the Aegis Shard. It is the Harvester. So that is what Splash Damage calls it. Okay, so tower defense. Then there would be like you bring back relay towers, energon harvesting missions. So there's different game modes that are out there, and there's also back to the simulate game mode. That I think that's where I got the that's where I picked up on the energon harvesting missions, where there's these different kind of like canisters throughout a zone. And then you defeat Legion enemies, and energon cubes drop from those Legion enemies in this game mode. And then you, as a team, have to bring them back to these energon canisters, because these energon canisters provide a force field or a wavelength to a center canister, which would provide you comms or some kind of kinetic energy or something like that for you to store and bring back to base, kind of thing, once the mission is all done. But the idea behind bringing energon to these canisters is you're fighting against way more enemies, and I'm going to emphasize that you're fighting against so many more enemies than you've ever fought before in any of the normal narrative missions in this game mode. And it is so intense. Like, there's even enemies that like suicide try to kill your canisters, and you have to try and stop them. Like, they will be notified to you in game. Like, it's like a notification in game, and it tells you, like, blinking, saying this is a bad enemy, kind of thing, and you have to kill them quick. And they slowly walk towards the canister, stomping towards the canister, and they will eventually suicide and blow up that canister. And I assume if they blow it up, your mission's done, right? That game mode is done. So there's a very similar, there's a very interesting game mode that I find for a wave-based like game mode, where you collect from enemies and you bring them back, but also enemies are like on your tail from left and right, and there's various different Legion-like portals, kind of, to a degree, that are like interwoven inside of buildings. And then that's where they spawn from, and then they're like coming at you from different locations, kind of like you would see in Transformers War for Cybertron with the gates, those digital gates that you see in Transformers War for Cybertron in Escalation. But it's they're more interwoven into the buildings or where they spawn. So that's a very interesting game mode. I would love to even showcase maybe a gameplay on that at some point. It's very fun. I enjoy it. It's actually almost more entertaining than the narrative missions than actually yeah, anyway, you get the point. It's fun. So there's awesome game modes that Sanders talks about, and stuff that I could even confirm as well. Now let's go down here. The gameplay, it's very fluid and fast-paced gameplay. The transformation, I think I've talked about this before, the transformation from going from into your vehicle form to out of your vehicle form is so fluid, it just keeps moving. Like, you keep going, you keep moving, it is just that fluid. And I want to emphasize that. going from transformation in vehicle or even flight, from out of vehicle into robot form, and fighting Legion and fighting other enemies, fighting bosses. It is so quick, so snappy, and so fluid that you will love it. Like, you will love how awesome the transformation is. And I hope Splash Damage emphasizes that about how fluid transformation is in Transformers Reactivate. Imagine how much more fluid. It's so much faster than any game you have ever played in a Transformers video game for transforming in and out of your vehicle form. That's how awesome it is. Megatron says this quote, according to Sanders: "Transform and rise up, Decepticons," or something like that, during this boss battle that he played. And I find that very awesome because that's a famous quote, transform and rise up. But also at the same time, it's awesome to see that quote being used. It's awesome to seeing callbacks from various Transformers media and being thrown into to this game. Ultra Magnus, during the comms, says some voice lines as a portrait when the player calls in for support. Now, I haven't exactly seen this personally just yet, but because I haven't seen or at least looked for Ultra Magnus specifically, he says this: "I can't deal with that right now," or something like that. And what I find really interesting from that point of view with hearing Ultra Magnus talking is that that he must be fighting off various Legion enemies in a different area to try and defend against whatever it is. Like, what if you're in a defense mission trying to fight off waves of enemies, and then you try to call in for support against Ultra Magnus, or during a narrative scene you call in for Ultra Magnus, and then he's like, "I can't do that right now," or something like that, right? I think that's pretty awesome. I think that's pretty cool. So Starscream also says at times during interaction with other characters, "Oh, so you made it this far," or something like that. And I find that cool too, is that Starscream has other interactions now. I can confirm there's various bickering between characters, and it's awesome comedically that there's characters that will talk with other characters and have funny interactions with other characters, and I find that pretty awesome. How cool is that? So just going down through here is oh yeah, Hot Rod was one of Sanders' most favorite characters to play as. Now, I can confirm I have seen Hot Rod, and his vehicle actually looks pretty sick. There's like two different versions of him. There's like an alt version and the official version. One looks like a little bit less flames, and then one looks like it's flames all over the body of his chest, kind of thing, up to his shoulders. That sort of thing in terms of description of Hot Rod. He's very reminiscent of his G1 counterpart to a degree. A lot less boxy, a lot more shaped, a little bit more like Knockout to a degree, with how smooth his bodywork is for his robot form to in chassis sort of thing. Of course, knowing Knockout, he's got the best vehicle form ever in terms of like, oh, I've got the best type of vehicle looking form ever kind of thing. And I'm sure he'll be very sporty as well in terms of looks, which I have seen his version as well. Then you've got Hot Rod, and he just like sport on all over the place with flames on the side and whatnot. He looks absolutely like a golden goose in terms of awesomeness. So yeah, it's just awesome being able to see Hot Rod and his character. Shockwave was also playable. Yes, I'm sure you guys already know about Shockwave. Game would crash many times. So this is Sanders' perspective, and even from my notes, the game would crash many times trying to load in characters. And in terms of that, Sanders didn't have a lot of time with the game. Like he was very limited with his time. So that's just one thing to point out, is just he didn't have a lot of time with the game, and I'm sure there's a lot of other things that he may have missed in terms of what he was able to actually fully play with the Transformers Impact 2018 version of the game. But who knows? I mean, like, if we know, like, who knows? Maybe he has a more updated version that he's seen, and maybe there's things that he'll describe in future videos that he has. But regardless, there's a lot of things that he has laid out here that are very reminiscent of what I know about already, and things that are probably confirmed in Transformers Reactivate for splash damage. There will be skyboxes, yes. Of course, there will be limits to how high you can fly. It's not like you're going to be able to go all the way to space just because you feel like it, kind of thing. And I think that's good, like just to be able to keep you in the zone, kind of thing. I think it would be. I kind of feel like you should be able to go a little bit higher in terms of the sky. Like, I feel like you should be able to fly to the top of a skyscraper as Starscream. I feel like you shouldn't be restricted to the top of a skyscraper. Like you can fly somewhat higher, but or to the top of a building. You can get on top of buildings, and I can confirm that. But like the top of a skyscraper, for example, I feel like there's things like that we should be able to do. So that's just something that I wanted to keep in mind and share with you guys. Sanders also says that there are tons of potential for this game, and I think so too. I think that's something that we really should hone in on and keep in mind, that there is so much potential with Transformers Reactivate, going from certain affinities starting the bare bones of the game and the designs to going into Splash Damage's version of the game. I feel like certain affinity, I wish they could be highlighted to some degree, even though they are probably still under NDA, of course, that they can't talk about the game as soon as it left their hands and went to Splash Damage. I feel like certain affinities should have some praise to some degree. And maybe during interviews, maybe Splash Damage developers can actually talk about that. I think that would be cool and a nice little highlight for some of the developers that are in certain affinity or were in certain affinity. One other thing is that flying around and different type of crawling Legion type of enemies. So if you picture like Transformers War for Cybertron with some of the crawling enemies that you saw in like the first wave, you would see those kind of enemies. You would see flyers and various enemies from different Legion enemies that would fly or almost like drones kind of thing that would fly in the sky. So you would expect that for sure, 100%. So there are so many things to talk about with this game, and that's kind of like a wrap up of my notes of things that Sanders mentioned today and stuff that I wanted to talk about myself. So I'm going to quickly get a drink, and then I'm going to start to answer questions a little bit, as much as I can, kind of thing, and then we'll go from there. How does that sound, guys? So let me quickly grab a drink here, because I've been talking for so very long, almost an hour now, and then I'll quickly talk about some of your questions here in a second. Just chill with you guys. Okay. Hopefully I don't lose my voice. All right. Let's see here. Do you know how many characters we will get at launch? Not 100%, to be perfectly honest. I don't have all of the insider information as to 100% for a T who's going to be at launch, but there's definitely a good selection. Let's just say like a lot of the main characters from G1 will be there, but or at least the core characters. They will definitely be there. Is Snapdragon, Springer, or Drift in the game? I don't know about Drift. I would love to see Drift in Transformers Reactivate. I think he's an awesome character, and I think he should definitely be highlighted. He's one of those characters that have more so come to light in the last few years in Transformers media, and I think Drift should definitely be highlighted as a character, because I think he's pretty awesome. And especially going from like, he went from like being in the Autobots to being the Decepticons to being back in the Autobots kind of thing. He's seen both factions. He's seen both worlds, but I think he's an awesome character that should be in the game. Cliffjumper, I don't know about Cliffjumper personally, but I think Cliffjumper should be in the game 100%, and I really hope they don't butcher him in terms of design like you see in live action. That was distasteful to me. Stavian. Ultra Magnus be voiced by his Transformers Prime actor or his WFC Trilogy voice actor? Who knows? We'll never know. You have a list of all the confirmed characters so far. I have a decent amount that I have confirmed over time, but I do not have any official list. Will we be getting more than 2 characters in the game? No, I'm just playing. Yeah, no, definitely. That's awesome. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, I keep showing Starscream all the time, but like that is my highest leveled character in what I've seen. So yeah. If Hot Rod were to receive a figure, would it be Voyager or Deluxe class? You know, I hope it's Deluxe class just because Hot Rod is an important character, and I feel like Deluxe class would suit him best. Wait, you said wait 4 weeks or something to happen. Do you think you could give some more info on that? Personally, I can't because I'm going based off of other sources. I don't have any concrete info. I have told everybody, please take that 4 weeks with a grain of salt. We do not know if the trailer will drop in 4 weeks, but if that is the case, I believe 100%. I mean, not 100%. I want to say that I feel like Transformers, like the next second Transformers Reactivate trailer would be a perfect place to throw at in March. I think that would be awesome. Or at the Summer Games Festival. If they build things up properly throughout this year and they build up their marketing in the spring, I feel like once we hit March and we see that Hasbro live stream that they were talking about, either there, start throwing in Transformers Reactivate trailer, throw in Transformers 1 trailer back to back. Not like back to back straight up, but like break them up between different days so that Transformers Reactivate gets its highlight with its trailer, and then Transformers 1. No doubt they would throw in Transformers 1 above Transformers Reactivate, hands down. But if you think about it, Hasbro has been starting to do more and more marketing towards video games than they have been towards mainstream media. And who knows, maybe Hasbro is starting to dip their feet, as we've seen with about a year or two ago with Wizards of the Coast. They want to develop a AAA studio for the future for Hasbro. So obviously Hasbro is starting to dip their toes into the video game industry more and more than they do with live action media and even TV shows and stuff like that. So I think that's where they might be going. And that's why I think maybe in March, a big maybe, if in 3 weeks now, or maybe it's still 4 weeks, is that the Transformers Reactivate trailer number 2 drops in the next few months. I think that would be awesome. Does Transformers Reactivate have a lot of replay value? To be honest, yeah. I mean, you have to grind out materials, get more perks for your weapons, for your character and whatnot. There's a lot of replay value. Mirage and Wheeljack, not yet. How many characters? Okay, I've already answered that. Is this game like an RPG co-op? Yeah, pretty much. It's like an action RPG co-op kind of. Do you know if we'll see mini-cons? Most likely in the future, but I'm not 100% if mini-cons will actually 100% be a thing. Will we be able to make our own character like in FOC? Just like Sanders has confirmed, I will say it as well. There is no, and I will repeat, no custom characters in Transformers Reactivate. I don't know where people are getting this, but there is no custom Transformers that, I mean, you'll be able to customize a character that already exists in Transformers media, but you will not be able to make your own unique character that has never existed in Transformers media. So just keep that in mind. Also, Bulkhead in Reactivate. Yeah, you never know. How long is Reactivate going to be? I do not know that answer. That's up to Splash Damage to reveal. If there is any music in these builds, if so, then what genre is it? Okay, it's kind of like, how to say it? It's like dark dubstep, not like dubstep, but it's like dark synthwave. how to describe it. It's like, it's upbeat. You've got lots of drum work going on, like boom, 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 like things like that. Like really upbeat music kind of thing for like once you get into battles, it's like the music really picks up. And then when you're in like an atmosphere, like you're amongst the city, you just start into a zone, it's like very eerie because it makes that dark, eerie feeling of like you're in a post-apocalyptic world. You just entered into the apocalypse. What kind of other eerie feeling are you going to want to feel in that atmosphere when you walk into skyscraper buildings towering above you that are in derail? Like, look at the character on screen with Starscream. Look at those buildings in behind you. Look at the cracked glass in that building and just reminisce over the fact that you will see a lot more of that and more ruins, more overgrown buildings in New York with Splash Damage's version of the game, more overgrown trees and vines and whatnot all throughout Splash Damage's version of the game. Just think about that for a moment and the eeriness of the music that will be in behind that when you go into the game. Just think about that. And just, yeah. I'm sure at some point I have probably shared with you guys music in the background from the build that I have potentially seen. But there's music out there somewhere. What would you think the story will start out as? We've heard about Optimus Prime being powered up right from the get-go as a tutorial mission, and I think that should still stand as you like being able to play as a powered up Optimus Prime right from the get-go, and then being thrown into the action of like then the Legion hit. Like you will see like a tutorial area of like, oh, it's normal in New York City for a moment in the tutorial, and then you get hit in the face with all of this devastation, all of this ruin from what has happened from the Legion attacking Earth, destroying the world, the tendrils interweaving throughout buildings and into the Earth's soil all throughout the city. And yeah, just imagine the outcome from that. Which composer do you think will work for Reactivate? I think I already confirmed him. Let me go through my notes here real quick. Flash damage. Oops. Guys, I'm moving my microphone. Hopefully that did not disturb you guys too much. Alright, let me just scroll up here for a moment. I've got a bunch of things all categorized in here. Let's see. It wasn't Ryan Barry. He was one of the audio guys. Where did I publish it? Maybe I threw it in the Re-Energized Discord. Okay, it's somewhere here. Hold on. No, that's more layout stuff. Hold on. It's somewhere here, guys. It's somewhere. I forget his name, but he worked on the Guild Wars. He worked on Guild Wars games, if that makes sense. He was the composer for the Guild Wars games, and not Guild Wars. That's an MMO. Gears of War. That's what I was trying to think of. Gears of War. The composer for Gears of War is doing Transformers Reactivate. So that's what I was trying to think of. Robo, when are you going to tell them about Trailbreaker and Hoist? I don't know. No, just know there will be Transformers game in 2024. Fingers crossed 2024 is our year. We'll see. Thanks, Robo, for the update. That's an actual photo from the game. Maybe? Steve Jablonski? Who knows? I think, Steve. Hold on. I've got it somewhere here. Maybe it's in my pinned messages. Hold on. Let me find it. I have a lot of pin stuff. This kind of irks me to no end that I don't have... the composer for Transformers Reactivate off the top of my head. I know I have it somewhere around here. Oh, this is frustrating. This, I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was last year that I posted it too. He has his own studio and everything. No, it wasn't. That's Battery Agency. That's one of the marketing teams. Sorry guys, I'm kind of like going off just scrolling here. All right, well, I'm sure I'll find it eventually, but it's somewhere. Definitely somewhere. Yeah, I'm going way too far back. I'm already back in March. All right, you guys get the point. Okay, let's see here. Is there LGBTQ plus A in Reactivate? I personally have no idea what exactly is going on with that, Ryan, but I'm sure they'll do something. Robo, have you played the game on controller? Yes, I have. I actually used an Xbox Elite controller. I absolutely love Xbox Elite controller. After, like, at first I thought I was never going to get an Xbox controller, and then I got an Xbox Elite controller, and it's like god tier type of controller. I love it. Will Grimlock be in the game? I'm pretty sure we confirmed Grimlock already. Are there cinematic skins for the characters? Like, I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Anthony, by cinematic skins. So you'll have to, like, elaborate on that. Will this game will be dark like the Arkham Batman series or Halo Dark? Maybe closer to Halo Dark. I don't know about Batman Arkham series type of dark, but I could definitely see Splash Damage taking notes from the Batman Arkham series, because if you take those dark vibes, I feel like that would be smart. But also you have to kind of make this game somewhat kid-friendly too. But I also see the fact that Transformers Reactivate is still needs to be kind of middle ground between somewhat dark and somewhat lighthearted to a degree. You know what I'm saying, guys? Because you still have to, like, serve both groups kind of thing, like adults and kids. And I think a lot of adults are definitely going to be playing this game more so than kids, maybe. Who knows? Is Jazz in the game? He most likely will be, but I cannot confirm if Jazz is in the game. I would love to see Jazz. I think Jazz was talked about in the past, but I can't remember 100%. What would the PC requirements be, though? Yeah, so honestly, I have no idea. That's until Splash Damage throws out their specs, you won't know. Who is all confirmed as voice actors? There's a lot of voice actors like Peter Cullen, Will Friedle, Jablonski, David Schlablo, or whatever his last name is. There's a lot of different voice actors, I think, that were confirmed, and of course John Bailey as well. Like movie skins of Rise of the Beast. I have no idea personally. I think it would be awesome if they did, because I think that would be a great marketing move, especially as more TF media comes out. I think that would be a smart move to bring in other media from other content. It would only make sense. Hey Robo, is Megatron fully playable in the build you currently have? Maybe. To be perfectly honest, no. Megatron is not fully playable. It's kind of like Optimus Prime, to be perfectly honest with you guys. Optimus Prime is like not fully playable because even though he's there, he's like, all of his animations are not fully there. And yeah, I don't know if I should even say this, because this is kind of like, because I don't even know if Splash Damage has this. I mean, they have to have this kind of same structure for the game files. Yeah, I don't think I can talk about that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna dodge that question just a little bit because there's certain structure that allow you to play the characters. So that's why things like Xander's version of the game was so buggy compared to what I have seen. If that makes sense. Yeah, so there's certain reasons as to why certain things can work and why certain things cannot work. If that makes sense. If Blum is screamy, I'll cry with joy. Okay, so funny story about that. So if you get damaged enough and you're about to go critical, Starscream will be like, somebody save me, or something like that. Starscream screams out like he's crying. Like, it's kind of comedic because, like, if you get damaged enough as Starscream, he will start to cry out and he'll be like, somebody save me, or something like that. And it's absolutely hilarious just hearing Steve Blum cry out as Starscream, and because you're damaged, like you're about to die as Starscream, or you're about to get downed, and Starscream's like crying out for his life because he's so damaged. Expect it like you would in comics or anything like that, where Starscream likes to like run away from stuff and he's crying out for help, sort of thing. Just think about that. It's classic Starscream. It's so true. Hey, Cyber 4 Frame Studios. What are you trying to help me out? So it's pretty much confirmed. I mean, maybe you were carrying Reactivate's marketing for real. I love that. Dear Lord, he's getting a Megatron treatment without Megatron. I want to hear one of the characters say player drop chips, but get me some ammo. I mean, guys, I have dropped a lot of stuff already throughout this video and throughout this live stream. So if you guys just want to pull back on the live stream, go for it. I've talked about a lot already. Okay, Robo, how about Shockwave? I saw that your recent video, he seemed to be in the background, but blurred. Can you confirm that? Yes. Very logical answer. Will there be any characters scanning or rescanning vehicles? As far as I know, no. The class or the vehicle that you play as is the vehicle you stay as. There might be alternate versions. I mean, like, who knows? There might be alternate skins that allow you to do something differently, but it's still going to play to the core mechanic of you are a truck, you are a car, you are a doom buggy, you are a sports car with Mad Max vibes all over you, right? Is the Seekers in the game? I'm pretty sure even Sanders confirmed that yes, the Seekers are in the game. Is the game going to be a live service? I don't want to see Reactivate repeat Suicide Squad. Well, I mean, Suicide Squad is a live service game still, but it's got solo play vibes written all over it. I mean, Transformers Reactivate, you will be able to play alone if you want to. You don't have to play co-op. Right, guys? Like, keep that in mind. Like, you can play it solo all you want. You can have your own enjoyment through playing the game. I don't know what the marketing or what the pay model is going to be for Transformers Reactivate in terms of, is Splash Damage going to make it free to play still, or are they going to make you pay like Suicide Squad, like pay up front and then it's free the rest? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to really say to you guys, because I personally, in my mind, feel like it should be a free-to-play game, but developers are starting to go this route where you have to pay to play a live service game, which doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, you have all these other microtransactions that are in your game. So it's very confusing for the consumer right now, and especially the way the game industry is portraying live service games. So I hope Splash Damage is smart, and they really take a good look as to what games did wrong and what games can do right. Look at Helldivers 2. I don't know. What other games can you really take from that are live service free to play? I mean, Helldivers isn't free to play. You have to pay a little bit of cash up front, but it's still an awesome game. All right, so yes, Spider-Man just mentioned Unicron. So yes, Unicron is confirmed to be in Transformers Reactivate. So if you guys didn't know already, Unicron is in Transformers Reactivate to some extent, right? So just keep that in mind. Transformers Reactivate most likely will have Unicron, or he will be somewhere down the line. To be perfectly honest, yeah, I feel like this game is going to be roughly $50 to $80. I don't think this game is. Will Tarn be in Reactivate? I have no idea. I have no idea, but I think he should be a character. I think Tarn should be in Transformers Reactivate. I could see him being a character. Yeah. Prime isn't playable much, according to Cyberframe Studios. Velocitron. I feel like I heard that from Sanders, that a Velocitron at one point. I can't remember if that was confirmed or not. Sideways. I would love to see Sideways. Okay, hear me out, guys. I talked about this in one of my videos, and I poorly portrayed my video, but I would love to have raids in Transformers Reactivate. I think that should be the end game. I don't think other specific... I mean, yeah, I think other game modes should be part of Transformers Reactivate, but I really think where Transformers Reactivate is going to shine is through the replayability of raids and getting that end game gear through raiding in Transformers Reactivate. I feel like that is where the game should go, and I feel like that is where the game should be ultimately played, is through end game raiding. That's my personal opinion, and I'm pretty sure that Sanders also said that it was a concept design for Certain Affinity to have raiding as part of the end game, or some sort of, you play against a boss with 4 players and try and defeat it, you get raid items, that sort of thing. So basically end game raiding. What other game would you compare Reactivate to, gameplay wise? Probably the closest would be Destiny. Yeah, Destiny. Destiny is probably the closest, I would say. And even Warframe, like from what I've seen, Warframe is heavily inspired. So yeah. Sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice here a little bit, guys. I would love raids. Like, how long do you reckon these raids will be? Personally, for me, I would love to see raids at least 20 minutes long. Now, that's a high bar, because most people can't even have an attention span of 10 minutes. So, I mean, if you wanted to get a quickie in for for raiding, then I have no idea how they would justify that. I think there should be different difficulty levels, and only specific gear will drop from high-end raiding. Like, for example, if you do like a 20-minute raid, the best type of raid gear in your overall endgame gear drop from a 20-minute raid. But if you have like a normal mode version of that raid where it's not as intense, not as many animations, not as many things, and it's more story-based than anything, where it links to the story, I feel like it should be like lower level and you can complete it a lot easier and faster. But you don't include all of like the secret cutscenes or things like that. Or maybe there's like a true cutscene, or maybe something that plays out even more with a 20-minute version of a raid. I think that would be awesome. Like, personally for me, like for Final Fantasy that's been playing Final Fantasy 14 and raiding for like 10 years. I love the idea of raiding and being able to fight like 4 bosses for a raid tier. And then on top of that, midway through a patch before a big story patch drops, a ultimate raid that is like 20 minutes long. That is an ultimate raid, not based on the previous content. A boss that is like a retelling of previous bosses, but so much harder, so many more animations, so much more hard content that is like hardcore tryhards of like the 1% of the population that can even play that content, or the diehards kind of thing. Like you spec your gear out so hardcore, your perks and everything are to a T to be able to play that content. That is what I think would be awesome to play as. But I feel like they need a big test bed before they even throw that content to the wild, to the public, because ultimate content like that I play in Final Fantasy 14 for endgame rating is absurdly hard. Like there's some people, like for example, when I jump into a group, I'm like somewhat mid-core, but it's still hardcore content, and it'll take us like roughly a year to complete that ultimate raid, because you're constantly doing like so an ultimate raid in Final Fantasy 14 for 20 minutes to try and learn all of the mechanics, bashing your head against a wall against mechanics, relying against other people to be able to do that content. If they die, it's almost like a party wipe, and it's very hard to recover, because every person is accountable for their own mechanics to be able to do in the game, in that raid. And if they die, your whole party is basically killed because one person dies. That's how crazy that is. And I think that should be how raiding should be. That's how crazy it is. But the reason why it takes some teams a year, like some teams that I've played on, is because you are doing like maybe 2 to 3 days throughout the week at a night when you get off of work or something like that, like World of Warcraft, yeah. And you jump into those systems, and you do 2 to 3 nights of raiding for like 3 hours, and you bash your head against the wall against these mechanics. Maybe you have a bad night, maybe you have a good night of just getting through mechanics of a boss, and it takes you that long to complete. But at the end game, for completing that 20 minutes of that fight, you get an amazing weapon, like a legendary weapon, or you get a legendary skin or something like that, and you can apply that, and it's like showboating. You can showboat your character because you have that skin, and it shows, because you jump into a match in a co-op with other people or something like that. Think about this like Transformers Reactivate. You jump in and say like you have this flaming skin for your character, and you jump in, and people are like, that guy's a hardcore raider. And you can tell because of his skin alone, right? He knows his stuff. He knows how to play. As long as it doesn't get to people's heads, of course, of being too egotistical, because of course there are people like that in Final Fantasy 14 and even in World of Warcraft, where they get egotistical about, oh yeah, I'm a big raider, I'm a hardcore raider, that sort of thing. It's gonna happen. But then there's some laid back people that just enjoy doing that hardcore content, like myself, and just enjoy and do it for the passion of getting that skin, getting that weapon. And imagine that with Transformers Reactivate. I think that's what Splash Damage should strive for, is something like that in Transformers Reactivate for the game, for end game content. If not, put it somewhere in the game and make some kind of content that's actually very difficult for people to complete. I think that's the true goal, the true end game, is the cosmetics and getting that at the end of the game. But yeah, that's why ultimate rating in Final Fantasy 14 can take people up to almost a year to complete sometimes. And once they have it down, it's like you start doing it back to back to back to back to back, because it's that easy, because you got it, you got all the mechanics down, you got it in your head. It's a repetitive thing of getting used to the mechanics, but like that's 700 runs of bashing your head against the wall trying to get that content done. It's normal, but that's raiding in a live service game and in MMOs, so, or games similar to MMOs. So that's just where I'm going with that. Sorry guys, I haven't really been answering, but I think that would be awesome to have raiding. Your name made me think of him. Is Starscream's character be more like his Armada version? Maybe. I mean, he's kind of like a mix of everything. John Bailey or Peter Cullen is voicing Optimus Prime. Can you confirm who it is? To be perfectly honest, I cannot fully confirm whether or not Peter Cullen is or is not. I said in a video earlier that Peter Cullen is confirmed because of what Sanders said, but take it with a grain of salt. You don't know for sure because the version that he's seen and heard, Peter Cullen was voicing Optimus Prime, but also he also heard John Bailey. For me personally, I've also heard John Bailey, right? So we do not know where this game is going, whether it's going to be free to play. As far as we know, it's free to play so far. We don't know if the models change though. Robo, will you do a stream for Hasbro Pulse and the Summer Game Awards? I definitely will do the Summer Game Awards for sure. I do not know about when the next Hasbro Pulse event is going to be, because they said the next stream is going to be in March for Hasbro stuff, and if that's the case, then I most likely will be watching. I don't know if or when they're going to do it. I hope they don't do it randomly during the day. I hope they do it later in the day, because it sucks having Hasbro Pulse in the morning and I'm at work and not able to live stream or be home for these live streams at times. So if that is the case and they drop the trailer during the day, I'm going to be super disappointed that I'm not home. But at the same time, it's like, it is what it is. Life happens. I have to keep working, right? So hopefully, if I get late to the trailer, I will watch it alongside you guys, or I will share my live reaction of just reacting to Transformers Reactivate. Hopefully I'm not late to the party, but I would love to be part of it as it's happening. Any headmasters? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Any combiners? I think we've talked about them. I mean, we've talked about Titans, not combiners. Will there be classes? I know there is a class-based system in place for various different characters. Like, it's almost like the Trinity system, almost, if you think about it that way. You have your support, you have your tanks, you have your DPS, and that works all throughout different characters. And it can also depend on how you build your character with your abilities. So there will be various other abilities for your character, right? So you have different abilities and you have different perks for those abilities for your overall character that invest into those abilities. So just keep that in mind. And as you go into certain instances, like missions alongside your different players, your co-op friends, you will want to spec out certain ways to be able to be like a healer, or to be like more support or something like that. Cyberframe Studios, oh my goodness. Cyberframe Studios says, just trust me when I say lots coming down the line. Oh, I mean, Cyberframe, if you've got something, I mean, hey, do you want to talk? But hey, welcome regardless. If you guys are throwing in some little hints, some wink wink nudge nudge, it's awesome regardless. If there's other people out there that are willing to share more about Transformers Reactivate, that's awesome. I'm ready to hear Bumblebee say, I need healing. You know, I can't remember exactly what Bumblebee says when he needs repairs. I know he gets really disgruntled about, like, or like he feels like he's weakened kind of thing when he's about to go down. Is there anything you would be willing to show us today that we haven't seen already? Well, the thing in the middle of your screen is definitely something new. Is there anything you'd be... Okay, Yugi, the trailer, is going to be happening sometime March or April. If this is a goodbye, at least for a while, I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. My dad works for Splash. If that is the case, that's awesome. But I mean, hey, what if my uncle's working for Splash? Are there more cons or bots? It's kind of a mix, Dark Scourge. They kind of mix it. Cyberframe, do you have a copy of this game? Ooh la la. Are the Beast Wars in the game? It's heavily hinted towards. Let's just say that. What do you think story mode ending for Transformers Reactivate will be like? So I kind of theorized that, and I feel like, okay, so they could go one of two ways. Okay, so think about it this way. You start the game, you fight the Legion, you defeat the Legion, or you get to a very big boss battle at the end of the storyline, maybe at the end of New York and Chicago, or you complete North America a bit. And then, do you guys remember that one screenshot of you can't access the other side of the UK. Like, you can't go to Europe, kind of thing. You guys remember that? I feel like if we have enough zones in the base game for the first season of Transformers Reactivate, I feel like we'll have enough zones for the first part, and then there will be a part where you get to jump into the other side in another expansion. Like, you jump into Europe and you get to do those zones over there. I think that's how things might play out. That's the first option. The second option is we play all of Earth, and then we are about to go off Earth to be able to go to somewhere else. I think that's how maybe something might play out. That's just my open theory, and I think that might be how things play out. Is we play on Earth to begin, maybe 1 or 2 expansions to begin, and then we go off worlds to another planet somewhere. Is Starscream holding a minigun? I thought weapons would be locked to certain classes. Potentially, yes. So Starscream is holding a minigun, and this minigun works a lot like the X-18 Scrapmaker in Transformers War for Cybertron. I'm just imagining that when Bumblebee gets hurt, he goes, "Ratchet, get over here." That's awesome. There is customizing characters like WFC and FOC. I have said this already, Dark Scourge. There is no customizing of characters like the Cybertron games. You have your character, and then you can customize on top of him with skins and various loadout skins and perks on your weapons and on your character, that sort of thing. Oh gosh, that line of "I'm rusting away over here." Oh, I would love to hear that voice line. Since you mentioned skins, are we going to get skins like from the live action movies? That's a good possibility. I would say hold it with a grain of salt. We most likely will, just because it's mainstream media and it's a marketing move. Will Megatron and Optimus get along? I mean, if they want to fight against Legion, I think they're going to have to put aside their differences. And I feel like Megatron and Optimus Prime maybe will get, or maybe Megatron will always be scheming to a degree, or maybe he'll have an alternative motive at some point in time. I think that would be awesome to have, is just having Megatron and Optimus Prime working together at some point. I think that would be really cool to see, especially since we've seen it recently with like Earthspark. I get it as like a TV show, but I think things like that, seeing it in new media, would be cool to see Optimus Prime and Megatron working together, at least for a short amount of time. And even if they act like they did when they did on Cybertron, as like we were brothers in arms or something like that, where Optimus Prime would say something like that, or Megatron would say, "We were never brothers," or something like that. Or I don't know, maybe Megatron would say something like that. But seeing something like those small responses between Megatron and Optimus Prime, if they work together for a short period, and then I feel like Megatron inevitably will eventually turn on Optimus. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how the story plays out. I mean, I feel like, I don't know if, I mean, we saw Optimus Prime in Splash Damage's toy box. Will he be playable? Who knows? I feel like Optimus Prime should be playable at some point in time, but I also wonder, like, how do you do that with, like, they are the leaders? I feel like they should be like almost NPCs, where you can't play as Optimus Prime and Megatron right away, but they are characters that you get to see at the very least. Yeah. Nemesis Prime would be cool. I would love to see Nemesis Prime. What? Optimus Prime and Megatron are missing, like, my father. Oh no. Robo, does Shockwave feel very powerful but slow? Okay. His vehicle form is slow, but ultimately, Shockwave is awesome on the field, and I love his arm gun. You guys know he's got an arm gun, and it's awesome. Okay, what character feels the strongest so far? That's a good question. Windblade. Windblade feels like a powerhouse. He really does. Right up next to her, I don't know if I want to say Ironhide. Okay, so it's hard to say. Okay, so let me think here. That's a good question. I want to say Windblade is pretty awesome. And how to say this? It's either a mix between Starscream and each character has their own. Okay, so this is the hard part, guys. So these characters, they all have their unique perks and abilities, right? And I love each moveset because they're all unique to each character. But at the same time, you can't. It's hard to say whether or not one character is more powerful than another because they all have their own unique abilities. So, like Ratchet being a medic, yeah, he's got his healing abilities. He's got the rocket launchers off the top of his vehicle, right? Just like you saw in the announcement trailer. It's crazy, right? Like there's so many cool things to different vehicles. Like Ratchet overall, with him having a rocket launcher off the top of his vehicle, like he's probably the most OP character in terms of his vehicle form compared to anyone else. just straight up, like that's how powerful, how awesome his vehicle rocket launchers are off the top of his vehicle. Whereas you look at other characters, maybe you could say Starscream is a close second in terms of how damaging or the bullet barrage of like bullets coming off of Starscream's jet. I don't know. Or maybe you could say Windblade is because she's got like laser shots out of her vehicle form. I don't know. There's so many different things to talk about different characters. They all have their unique abilities, their different strengths and weaknesses at times. And you just wonder, right? Like, who is the strongest character? They all have awesome abilities. Can you turn on subtitles? Can you punch me more than once? Since Knockout is in the game, does he share the same type of personality he had in Transformers Prime? And is the vehicle mode awesome? I want to say yes. The vehicle mode is awesome. And I think he has some cool abilities. He's got his doctor's, how do you call it? His doctor's saw as his melee weapon. He also has another melee weapon, which is kind of like a staff. I could probably show you guys later, but yeah, Knockout is pretty awesome. Is there anything else that you guys want to ask before I leave? I think we're going to be wrapping up soon because we're starting to get on like an hour or 40 minutes, closer to 2 hours, and probably want to chill a little bit for the rest of the evening. But there's a lot of awesome stuff about this game. Like if you guys have not been following my videos, there is so much content to go over. There's so many things to think about. There's so many things that have yet to be even shown to you guys that are in Transformers Reactivate, or even things I probably haven't even heard about yet. Things that I don't know that Splash Damage probably implemented or has introduced to Transformers Reactivate, and how awesome it is. So just things to take away, guys. There's so many awesome things that Transformers Reactivate is going to be like, and how awesome it's going to be when we actually get to be able to see the game from splash damage. I really do hope that that trailer, that second trailer that we know is already finished, is coming. I really, fingers crossed, hope it's coming and it's on the way. But I just got to say that that's the next big thing to look forward to. I think Transformers Reactivate's second trailer is going to be absolutely amazing. I think there's going to be so much to talk about and a lot more Easter eggs, because if the first announcement trailer had so many Easter eggs and small little Timbits, then can you guys imagine how many Easter eggs are in Transformers Reactivate's second trailer? Oh gosh, I can't wait. We don't know for sure if it's going to be in March. Just keep it in mind, we don't know officially, we don't know for sure. These are simply rumblings and chatter behind the scenes with different sources and different people that work in the industry and various different places as well. So just keep that in mind, guys. We don't know everything. We won't know everything, and you can't guarantee everything 100% until it happens. So I have one more question. Did you contact someone and now they are your source, or did they contact you and now are they your source? Wavelength Productions, my only answer to that is, who knows? When you say the game is dark as Halo, what exactly dark from Halo is comparable to this game? Gosh. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say because you're going up against Transformers versus Halo, which is two different atmospheres. How to describe the darkness? I don't know. I mean, if you guys have seen some of my videos and seen some of the dark atmosphere of just the ruins, the apocalypse and stuff like that, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just there's different things to look at and it's dark in terms of atmosphere. I would love a collector's edition for Transformers Reactivate. If they make a statue or something else that is part of the collector's edition for Transformers Reactivate, I will be all over that. There's a lot of missions. They're somewhat entertaining. I'd say 60-70% are entertaining. But I'd say from when I first started, it was kind of boring. And then, okay, so when I first played, obviously, it was amazing. So cool. I was playing days on end. But then as you get further and further, it's okay, a little bit of a repeat. And then as you get further and further into how to describe it, as difficulty gets harder and harder, I started to die more, and I started to become it started to become harder to play the missions. Right now, I'm not even finished because I'm solo and I don't have a team with me per se, right? And so things like that, right? So just keep that in mind. I just want you to know, this could definitely replace Legacy as the new multiversal stuff. For sure. I think this game has a lot of potential. There's so many different avenues you could go with this game. The sky's the limit. I say that again and again. There's so many avenues you could go with this game. It's up to Splash Damage how they want to write this game. Cyberframe. I'm not sure if you actually do have a Discord. I don't even know if you're a big channel or not, or anything like that. But if you do want to talk more Transformers Reactivate in the background, if you actually do know something, let me know. Hit me up on Discord or something like that, or Twitter. Who knows? Up to you. I will not be heartbroken if you don't. If any of you guys have any connections or just want to talk Transformers Reactivate in the background. Completely anonymous. You do not have to be public, just like all of my sources. It's completely up to you guys. Anyway, I think I'm going to start to close out the stream, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys, hello, Fire Brothers, the famous, quote unquote, abused housewife. Welcome. Will there be clans in the game? Yes, there are guilds in Transformers Reactivate. And also, if you guys haven't already, I will be plugging this in. Transformers Re-Energized Community Discord, that's where all of our updates are regarding the game. So if you guys want to check that out, join Transformers Re-Energized Community Discord. Our link is in the video description as well if you guys want to jump in on our Discord. That is where the big main hub of all Transformers gaming is right now, and that's where a lot of the gaming community is for not only Transformers Reactivate, but other games as well for the Transformers gaming community. So be sure to check that out. Fire will remember that. Yeah, just hang out, guys. We have a text channel called The Hangar. So I may change that later, who knows. But if you guys want to jump in, chat all things Transformers Reactivate, we are here to chat all things Transformers Reactivate, give you guys the latest up-to-date news, maybe just information regarding the game, whether it's old news, new news, and up-to-date as it comes out. So guys, thank you so much for watching today's stream. And if you guys want to help me out, please like the video before you go. There's like 91 plus people in this live stream right now. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We've got all things Transformers and beyond. The other day I was playing Icode, and the indie developer allowed me to be able to play that game too, so that was awesome. And being able to play the demo on Unreal Engine 5, that was absolutely epic. And I think he's got a really story-rich game on his hands that he's developing. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. And it has so many different references to so many different pieces of media. I think that game is going to be awesome as well. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you guys wanted to talk shop or anything else like that for Transformers Reactivate, hit me up in the Discord or on Twitter. You can find me at RoboGamer1HD on Twitter or on Discord, YouTube, you name it, even Twitch. Not that I use Twitch too much right now, but yeah, we're all here for Transformers Reactivate. Looking forward to Splash Damage's version of the game if any other devs are in the live stream. Thank you so much, guys. We cannot wait for your game. Transformers Reactivate is on the horizon. I can just feel it. If not, we're all looking forward to it. We're all Transformers fans. We're all one big happy family. Looking forward towards Transformers Reactivate when it does release. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. See you all in my next video. Robo out.